Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael Kamau. I'm here with my good friends Derrick Oldensmith and JR Romero. This is going to be a fiery show because we have, I don't know, what the hell is going on in Davos? Are we buying Greenland? Are we not? We're going to get into all that. Should we talk about Minnesota? Housing, daycare fraud, all that? We will see. But spirits are high. So, Derrick, JR, how are you guys doing today?
I'm living the dream.
I'm like, I'm so glad in the back of my mind I always just revert back to the technicals, because if you're trying to make sense of this market, this is the stupidest market I have ever traded, ever. This is so stupid. So why did we go up this morning? So I'm telling you why I went up this morning. We went up this morning because we're not going to apply military force and invade Greenland. Is that really what caused the rally? And then the rally was completely over and has completely rolled down right now as we're talking, because Denmark came out and said, we reject Trump's offer. We're not going to sell you Greenland. No shit, they're not going to sell us Greenland. I mean, like, this is the most we were never going to invade Greenland with troops. That's the stupidest thing ever. We're not going to go to war with Denmark. So we never should have went up on that. This is ridiculous. And then, of course, they're not going to sell us Greenland. This entire day is the most ridiculous trading session ever. I don't know how else to even describe it, but we're almost back where we started after an insane rally over nothing, followed by an insane rollover also over nothing. This market, who's buying stock on us not attacking Greenland? Let's go to war with the SEALs, man. What? I'm done.
So, Derrick, would you have been happier if we did go to war to get Greenland and the market went down?
No, because I'm short silver and gold and metals and stuff like that right now. So no, and no, I don't want us to go to war with our allies ever. I don't care if it'll improve my P&L. We don't go to war with our allies. We're not going to war with NATO allies. We've got actual real bad guys out in the world that we can focus our attention on. This is so ridiculous. I can't. No. I just can't with this nonsense.
Well, I woke up this morning thinking, who really needs a good ass kicking is Macron. But then I realized he gets one from his wife on the daily. So I thought, I want them to surgically implant a megaphone on Trump's mouth that just repeatedly just talks Greenland, China, tariffs, and then says nice things and says bad things, and we just, buy the rips, and then sell the rips, and then buy the dips, and so on and so forth. We're obviously being toyed with, just like we were at the apex of the tariff war. I feel like it's a massive, idiotic misdirection. We don't have to buy Greenland. We have a treaty with Greenland signed in 1951 that allows us to basically post a city or a state the size of California in there, full of missiles and stations and personnel. We could literally 10x the population of Greenland with American troops, and we would be well within our right to, and NATO would be applauding. The whole thing is freaking ridiculous, and you can't get swept up in it. Trump does this all the time. He misdirects the entire world, says some insane shit that gets everybody riled up. And while you're looking at this hand, he's doing something else with this hand. I totally get your frustration, but like, this is like, as a trader, I love this chaos. I freaking love it. I think it's amazing. Today we bought Oklo at like 95. We sold it at 100. We turned around, shorted it at 96. Bought it at 91, sold it at the 50% retracement. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, on everything. Silver, short, then long. I mean, it's just incredible. The Trump-related volatility, if you don't have... See, the problem is Derrick is a really smart guy, and he thinks, and he's earnest, and he gets upset when people aren't straight. Like, you have to just let all that go. Embrace the chaos. Embrace the bullshit, and just like realize that there's going to be a lot of volatility. We'll call it Trumpatility. day trader. It's just like he's like the candy. You know, it's just amazing.
I think
you can't get caught up in it. It's the whole, everything is so ridiculous. It's like it's. Do you remember that movie, Being There? Have you ever seen that movie? Chauncey Gardner is the main character. It's a movie made in 1976. No, 1975 film. Who made that film? It's with Peter Sellers and Shirley MacLaine. Incredible film. It's about the retarded Gardner who basically gets groomed to be the president of the United States, and all chaos like completely ensues, and half the country thinks he's a genius that plays four-dimensional chess on everything, and half the country thinks like we're out of control. So I'm not calling Trump a retard, obviously, but what I'm saying is that there's such a dichotomy or a division in terms of public perception of what Trump does that it's going to cause just massive volatility and sentiment changes everywhere. And so, you know, as an American, I'm deeply concerned about the division and the volatility and the hate. But, you know, this moves markets like a mofo. I mean, look, I'm looking at these charts everywhere. There's breakouts, incredible break. Look, Tesla, we took it at 423.50. We rode that to 429 today. AMD, opening range breakout today. Gorgeous. SNDK, we destroyed SNDK today. So, like, I don't know. I feel like you just have to stop trying to have it make sense. You know what I mean? And just trade the market. It works.
I mean, you know, JR, it's interesting because like the parallel I was thinking of was actually like the Dark Knight, because I'm imagining Derrick as Batman being angry at the Joker for being the Joker. Like, yeah,
pretty much.
But even like I feel like I can see the games half the time. So why does it still seem like a surprise? Because we've seen Trump make a big show out of something, and then the last second he just pulls out and acts like it was never going to happen in the first place. And like Greenland seems exactly like part of that playbook. So like, why do we keep feeling surprised by these things?
Look, Greenland is a very important place strategically for the United States, but we don't have to resort to any of these idiocies to like get what we need out of it, which is what I was trying to say earlier. I don't know.
I think that the concern is, when I think about broader concern of the market, the concern is not that Trump is going to taco. He tacos every time. The concern is that there eventually becomes a time where he can't taco, where he dug himself into a hole with something that he said, and everyone has just said there's enough of it. You know, we said that, we saw that yesterday, the Danish pension funds are going to sell their treasuries. That doesn't matter in and of itself. It's tiny. The Danish pension fund, like how
compared
big
to what China's selling,
right. So how big is Denmark? Denmark is like as big as one of our states. It doesn't matter if their pension fund is going to sell the treasuries. What matters is if there's contagion on that to other places, and if that mentality just kind of just generally spreads, and then you might just eventually hit a problem where it's just like, all right, sure, Trump decides he won't do tariffs on Greenland because of Greenland. He won't invade because of Greenland. He won't do any of this stuff. It's all bluster. But eventually people just say, you know what? I've had enough of it. I'm not going to buy these U.S. treasuries. I'll buy gold. I'll buy silver. I'll do something else with that money. Now, I mean, structurally, it's not as easy as that. I don't think that the EU could just dump all their treasuries. Where would they even put the money? But I think that it's like a longer term, bigger problem that could be built into where eventually he says something that crosses a line that he can't just get himself out of.
Well, that's what Ray Dalio said yesterday. This is what I've been warning my room about for weeks. It's not about Greenland. It's not about China. It's not about Venezuela. It's about a few things: the breakdown of the global order, the breakdown of the monetary system, confidence in American treasuries, and the complete and the complete revamp of central banking as we know it to do something completely different. I mean, what do you think? Silver and gold are going freaking batshit crazy. Ray Dalio said yesterday, the monetary order is breaking down. Fiat currencies and debt aren't being held by central banks in the same way. Other countries are buying gold to diversify. This happens when countries feel uncomfortable owning other countries' debt and move toward hard assets. This is a very poignant warning from Dalio, and he's correct. You know?
But what replaces U.S. Treasuries? Because that money would have to go somewhere, and you can't. I mean,
it is going somewhere.
But I mean, offhand, I don't even know. Maybe somebody in the audience can answer. How big are precious metals? Is that just a drop in the bucket? It's got to be a drop in the bucket compared to the Treasury market. But it feels like all these.
I mean, China alone is holding $898 billion worth of U.S. Treasuries, just so you have an idea of how much they still hold.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't this a game of mutually assured destruction? Because if they crash the Treasury market, they all screw themselves. Because everything dies.
Look, I don't think anyone's playing a mutually assured destruction game, but what I think is happening is we're having a sustained erosion in confidence in America's institutions. That's grave. Think about countries. Think about how countries where the executive assigns a central banker and orders them to lower rates. Who was the last guy who did that? That's a pop quiz for you. Come on.
All right, I'm not looking at
Turkey, Erdogan, right?
You can see
what happened to inflation in Turkey. This never ends well. This has never ended well. So there's a reason there's a real crisis in confidence and the bond market is hurting, and the dollar. Look, these things take a long time to erode and kill. It's not like Trump invading Greenland is going to cause the dollar to crash and no one to buy U.S. Treasuries. We have a dependence on U.S. Treasuries domestically and internationally that is very difficult to get off of. But oh, sorry. Like Derrick was saying earlier, we're sort of escalating, in my opinion, actions that are really, really toxic for our institutions, and then slowly but surely begin to degrade and erode confidence in those institutions. And I think that's a really, really serious thing. And I think I don't know what's going on inside Trump's head. He seems like a calculated fellow, despite his, effusiveness and inartfulness. I don't understand. I don't understand what the gambit is. I mean, there's only so many U.S. Treasuries, private institutions can absorb in order to offset, through crypto, whatever these crypto treasuries are all buying U.S. Treasuries to back up their stablecoins. There's only so much of that they can buy to offset the kind of damage we're doing to the confidence in our bonds. So I don't know, man. I'm not smart enough to figure that out, but I'm loving the after effects of what's happening. Although obviously, as an American, I'm deeply concerned about whatever the hell we're doing to our country.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Trump is very, in a way, he's sort of the prototypical sociopath, and I'm using this only half seriously, but sociopathic CEO, where, because I've noticed this with really successful business people. I've known that they are willing to put up with an awful lot of collateral damage to get where they want to go. Whereas lower level people will be worried about the details, and the lunatic on top just doesn't give a shit. So that's my impression of Trump. And I actually think it'll turn out okay unless he starts getting people really thinking he's going to try to finagle his way into a third term. that I think would be disaster. Like, I think people will he'll do some memes and trolls about him being president forever, but I think it'll ultimately turn out okay, as long as he agrees, like, this is it for him. I think that'll solve most of the issues. But can you imagine how boring life would be if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz would be president right now?
Trump is not running for a third term any more than he's invading Greenland. I feel like everyone should. Have you read The Art of the Deal, Derek? It's an outrageous book. Okay,
I have read it. Yep.
It's amazing.
So, like, everything he does is out of that book. Like, no one should be surprised that he's really ambiguous about whether we're going to invade Greenland or not. Like, it's straight out of his book. Obviously, he's not going to be. We're not going to Greenland. They've got like 18 guys there.
To me and you, like, this is just why it's so important sometimes to put logic aside when you're trading and focus on the price action, because the fact that we popped as far and as big as we did today over the fact that he said that he wasn't going to use basically military force to get Greenland, it just was like the most obvious thing in the world to me. Like, of course, like, did anyone actually think that that was a possibility, that was going to happen?
People were freaking out, dude. Do you know how many tens of thousands of hours of news cable freak out you could pull back from archives about, talking heads talking about what happens if we go to war with France? Like, you idiots.
Yeah, I mean,
stop.
I stay off the TV. I really do. But then, like I said, the flip side of it, the real issue isn't, I think, for markets in the economy, is quite simply if he really would follow through on these tariffs or not. 10 to 25% additional tariffs, and if that leads to a falling out of the trade deal with the EU that's kind of been penciled in. I still think that that's probably something that he would, once again, taco out of, just because that's what he's done every single time. But if there is a possibility, you have to price in, I think, a possibility that might actually happen this time around, and keep that in the back of your head as potential of risk. Especially this pullback in the market we just had. Denmark was like, no, I'm not dealing with you. I'm not selling you Greenland. And like JR said, why do we need to buy Greenland? We already have full access to it. Just none of this makes sense. It's
doesn't make sense. And do you think the United States has $2 trillion worth of military bases, 75 military bases in Europe? What do you think happens the minute we go to war with NATO? All of our strategic advantage and equipment in Europe gets confiscated immediately. We basically lose access to any kind of military campaign in Europe. Done. Do you think we would risk that over invading Greenland? Like, nobody thinks anymore. It's very frustrating. I watch these freakouts, people running around like a headless chicken. It doesn't make any sense.
Not to mention that we can't afford it.
That's another problem. Yeah.
With what money?
Yeah. Before the midterms, Trump is going to go ahead and wage war of a chunk of ice in the North Pole. That's going to win a lot of elections. Maybe
Elon with his $1 trillion pay package will buy Greenland.
It could be Elon land. He could be a whole theme park dedicated, run by robots. And
he should go and live there permanently and just live in Elon land. I love it.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's move on from this. All right. We agree. It's just another game. Okay. So let's talk about this big piece of shit Apple, because I'm joking. It's the biggest stock in my portfolio. I never want to sell it. It won't friggin' move. What is going on with Apple, boys? Somebody explain this to me.
It's kind of a boring question. Look, Apple is not really a growth company. It's a cash flowing machine with the buyback bigger than most of humanity's GDP. And at the end of the day, I think that's all that matters, and you just got to treat it for what it is. It's impossible in my mind to ever really be big picture bearish on Apple. Day trades, swing trades, you can get big pullbacks like we had in like 2022. You could see a 25% correction in Apple, but you buy every one of those because eventually the buyback machine turns on, the float gets smaller. I don't know the statistic offhand, But for the listeners out there, if you've never looked at this before, I highly encourage you to go look up Berkshire Hathaway's stake in Apple, Warren Buffett's stake in Apple, and how, I forget what year it was that he stopped buying stock, but he stopped buying stock, and I'm just going to make up some numbers, and he owned like 4% of the company. And then a few years later, without buying a single additional share, he owned like 8% of the company without buying a single additional share. And that was just because the float shrinks because Apple continues to buy back their own stock in the most massive way ever. And I think that is something you can be bullish on. Buybacks are like, the corporations are the number one buyers in the actual stock market. And one of the biggest things, if you want to be slightly bigger picture, and my own approach to markets is always big picture down to small picture, one of the best things that you can just try to figure out if you want to take a big picture view on a stock is this stock going to be more likely to see its float shrink over time because of buybacks? Or is this stock going to be more likely to see its float increase over time because they're going to need to do capital raises and secondary offerings and because of all the stock-based compensation that exists in it? And if you just look at those basic statistics, everything else held equal, which is never the case in markets, you have a great starting point for big picture. Do I want to be long or do I want to be short something? Do I want to be in it or do I want to avoid it?
Okay. JR, get 10 seconds. Give me your thoughts on Apple. I have a hard stop at 12:30, so we got to finish this off quick.
Listen, you buy it at the weekly 200 and you wait, and then it makes you a ton of money. Look at the chart. Look at the weekly chart. Tell me how many times it's touched the weekly 50, okay, and not made you a ton of money 12 months later. There isn't a time where that's happened where you've been down money. It's a long-term type of investment. It's a cash machine. That's all it is.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, we have 2 minutes left that I got to run, unfortunately. So I'm going to ask each of you guys to just give me your number one idea right now in 30 seconds or less. Just one.
Just one.
Just one. You got to pick one. It's like you're looking at your kids and you got to pick your favorite one.
No, that's hard, dude.
That's the point. That's the point.
Okay. All right.
30 seconds or less.
Okay. Interactive Brokers bought it today, looking for move to 108, 110.
Beautiful. See, didn't that feel good? Just say the truth. You just said what you really wanted to say. I love it. Derrick, how about you? 30 seconds or less.
Energy, SLB, long versus 47 was a call out for my morning meeting today. Halliburton, which reported earnings, we called that out as a long versus 32 today. These should not be day trades. These should be swing trades, in my opinion. They look excellent. They continue, provided, just watch your extension. Trade it back and forth a little bit, watch your extension. But energy looks great to me.
Awesome. And Derrick was very bullish on energy last week. He was talking about XLE and OIH and SLB also last week. Okay, guys. Everybody take a deep breath. If the world's going to end, you're not going to see it coming. So let's try to enjoy the moment. Everybody have a wonderful day. And thank you, JR. Thank you, Derrick.
Thanks, guys.